Hey guys, so I'm doing back and calves today. I'm warming up on the foam roller. This is really good, working on thoracic extension, really just trying to get improved mobility of my back. And this is very good for injury prevention and to just overall warm up, especially if you're doing deadlifts, which I'll be doing for back today. So by wrapping my hands, I'm making this mobility work specific to the upper back. I'm working on a thoracic extension here, which is the upper back. And here's a good morning stretch, trying to get my chest open. And I'll also be working on shoulder flexion as well. Again, just trying to get as mobile as possible, especially for the upper body. Regardless if you're doing it on leg day or really any other workout, it's really important to keep your shoulders healthy, working the normal range of motion here. Also trying to get my chest open too. And by doing this kind of mobility work, you'll probably notice the quality of the contractions you'll be getting when you're working out. They're going to be much better. You're going to be able to actually feel the muscles working, because sometimes by not being flexible and having these kind of knots that you're not getting out, it'll really screw you up and mess with how much tension you can get in the muscle. So next mobility exercise is hip extensions. Using a band, really accentuate the stretch here, especially if you've been sitting down a lot. Your hip flexors can get really tight and they can ruin your posture. So by doing this, I'm really just trying to open this up and get as flexible as possible. You can also do this in a lunge position too. This is great to clear any impingements that you might have when your hip capsule is really tight in the socket. It can pinch nerves. By doing this kind of stretch frequently, you can definitely clear any low back pain or any hip pain that you might have. So next exercise is banded hip distractions. What I'm doing here is I'm trying to laterally distract the hip capsule. You can do that in different ways. You can do it like anteriorly with the banded hip extensions or posteriorly. So here I'm just trying to alleviate any pain, any impingement I'm getting in my hips. I'm also accentuating the stretch of my glutes by using the band. Typically when you have tight glutes, it can affect your lower back. You start to get pain, and it'll also mess up your form when you're squatting as well. So you want to make sure you're nice and flexible, especially in your glutes. First exercise for the back is a sumo deadlift. Here I'm doing my first warm-up set, going to go for about 8 to 10 reps. I really like the sumo deadlift a lot. It does put more emphasis on the legs as opposed to the lower back. The conventional deadlift will put way more stress on the back. So they're definitely good to do both. I wouldn't pick one or the other, but I mean, if you do have longer limbs, the sumo might be better for you. So when you're in this position, you're actually kind of like in a squat, so you are hitting the legs more. You don't have to lean as forward when you're pulling in a sumo position as opposed to the conventional deadlift. So when I'm setting up here with my arms, what I'm doing is I'm trying to pinch my shoulder blades together and retract them. So what I'm doing is I'm creating tension in the back and keeping a tight back. So here's my second warm-up set, gonna go for about, I think, 5 to 7 reps. So I'm still staying far away from failure. I'm just trying to prime the nervous system and get my body ready for the heavy sets. And by retracting my shoulder blades together, what I'm doing is I'm keeping them stable, so when I'm able to pull, I'm gonna be at my strongest. And here's my last warm-up set, just trying to acclimate my body to the heavy weight and get ready for the working sets that are coming after. I would pick a weight that's probably like 80 to 90% of your working weight. So here's my first working set. I like to pull between 4 to 6 reps. So in between my reps, what I'll do is I'll kind of like regroup and retract my shoulders again and make sure my form is good and everything is tight before I go and pull the weight again. Next exercise is barbell rows. I'm going to do these for about 3 sets, 5 to 8 reps. I love this exercise. It's a great way to build thickness of the back. You can really overload. I actually prefer these. Lately I've been preferring these over dumbbells just because of the amount of weight you can load the bar with. And it hits all major muscle groups of the back, like the traps, the rhomboids, and the spinal erectors. So it's very good for posture as well. A good tip with any kind of back movement is to focus on guiding the weight with your elbows and not so much your hands, so you can really focus on the contractions. So the next exercise is weighted pull-ups. I'm going to alternate this exercise with seated calf raises. I like the pull-ups, and I usually alternate between these and chin-ups. Chin-ups will usually engage the biceps more, but overall, though, they're both great for building a wide and a thick back. So after this, I'm going to rest about 45 to 60 seconds and then jump on the seated calf raise machine. Now typically when you're doing these either seated or standing, you're going to be hitting both the gastrocnemius and the soleus. And by doing these seated, you're going to focus on the soleus, which is the muscle that sits under the gastro. So overall, you're going to get a fuller looking calf muscle. So I would recommend doing these seated and standing. So rest between 45 to 60 seconds in between exercises and try to do these for 3 rounds.